On today's Naruto L.I.T, what was the metaphorical purpose of the Hawk versus Eight Tails fight? What social mores of Japanese society is responsible for Itachi's overestimating everybody? And you were waiting for it, who do the Japanese kids feel was the strongest of the Sannin? And who do they think is the best overall ninja? Hint, it may not be the same person. The KillerBee was considered the 8-sworded swordsman, but he only had 7 swords. What was KillerBee's 8th sword? And what is the significance and name of the clan that KillerBee belonged to in the Cloud Country? And does that clan have a past relationship with the Uchihas? What is the significance of the Cloud Country having 2 Jinchuuriki? Why are the Japanese kids mad about the form Kishimoto used for KillerBee's Bijuu? And, lastly, is the Yamato no Orochi, the monster that Orochimaru's final form is based off of, a god? And what does that mean for Orochimaru's future in the series? All this on this week's Naruto L.I.T, issue 415. Naruto Lit is a podcast that compares the English scanlation of Naruto to the original Japanese version in Shonen Jump. Though there are a lot of manga-themed and even Naruto-themed podcasts out there, Naruto Lit is one of the few podcasts that comes to you from Tokyo, the heart of manga. I'm your host, Chi, an American who's worked in the anime industry here since 2005, when I started my own anime studio with a good friend of mine here in Tokyo. To help me compare this week's Naruto is another good friend of mine, Masa, a Japanese consultant here in Tokyo. Now, we return to a conversation already in progress. So, this week's issue is we're talking about issue 415, and I know it's called like a new power, and atarashiki chikara desho? Is what it's called. And some of the stuff we talked about last week that we didn't finish was, one thing was that Masa, you were saying that the main purpose for last week's issue was to show that Jinchuuriki at full power is really no match for Magenkyo Sharingan person, right?
So wait. So you're saying that if you control Jinchuuriki's power, and if you can use its maximum extent, then it's supposed to be stronger than Magenkyo Sharingan,
No, it's
right?
still not stronger than Magenkyo.
Oh, it's not, yeah.
And that was like the point of this fight, right? What Kishimoto wanted to show us is that Naruto, even if Naruto was able to use his full QB power, he still wouldn't be able to beat Sasuke.
Yeah.
And that's why he needs to learn the Senjutsu and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I figured.
Because we already know that Magenkyo Sharingan can control QB. It has been done once.
Okay.
So...
yeah. So this just served to reinforce that fact. It kind of seems like the Jinchuuriki in general are only about as strong as like an Akatsuki member, and that even high-level Akatsuki members can pretty much take out even high-level Jinchuuriki.
True. I mean, it depends on which member of Akatsuki, though.
Yeah, obviously, like low-level. There's kind of like low-level, high-level Akatsuki members too.
Because I'm not sure if Hidanzo or Kakuzu were able to take down Hachibi.
Yeah, I don't think they would have. That's why I think the 8 Tails was kind of reserved for Itachi.
Yeah.
But
and 9 Tails are reserved for Pain.
Yeah.
Which means Pain is stronger than Itachi.
Yeah. Well, so some of the stuff that we were going to talk about from 415 that was left over was that you mentioned last week, and I'm going to talk fast because I try to get as much information into 10 minutes as possible. But some of the stuff we wanted to talk about was... like you mentioned that it seemed like Itachi overestimated everybody last week, and or last week you mentioned that you felt like Itachi in general overestimated everyone because why was that?
Oh no, like when Japanese people talk about others, there's often case that they say more better size, like they tell good thing about them, and that became your kenson, which is showing their humbleness. But like especially in Japanese manga or society, when they're trying to show that character is smart and they're like smart, you have to show the character is modest. So Itachi is known as this genius, like ninja, but then by showing his modesty, giving compliment to Jiraiya and all others, which shows him his smartness.
Even though from what we've seen now, it seems like he could have taken out Jiraiya or
Orochimaru, yeah. Because it doesn't matter whatever technique they use, as long as he has Magenkyo Sharingan. And that has been said by Orochimaru too.
Yeah.
Actually, Orochimaru actually challenged Itachi and he lost once.
Yeah.
And he couldn't do anything.
So when he mentioned like Kurenai and those Jonin and stuff, they really were nothing at all. Even but Kakashi has Mangenkyo, so
Kakashi stole Mangenkyo from Itachi, right? Or copied it. I don't know, it's like stealing, but I don't know how he got the Mangenkyo Sharingans.
So the other thing we were going to quickly go over was like who Japanese people felt is the strongest Sannin. And it seems like who was it that you said that the Japanese...
Orochimaru would be the choice.
Because
of the fact that he was taking both Tsunade and Jiraiya at once. Even though he couldn't use any ninjutsu by himself. Because he's like 2 of his arms are immobilized.
And
even though Jiraiya was dragged because Tsunade is fighting with her full extent. Also, like they're calling, 2 strongest summoning unit.
Yeah, and you were reading that. Where was that you saw that? Some people talking about that.
I think it was in like Ni channel or some of the blog site. Like people were actually voting who would be the strongest ninja, and out of all the information that I read, they conclude that when it comes to just the fighting ability, the combat ability, Orochimaru is the strongest. Okay. But when it comes to like spying on others and stuff, yes, Jiraiya might have the better chance to beat.
It seems like Jiraiya is the more versatile ninja. Like he can do all kinds of, not just combat, but like you said, spying, reconnaissance, protection. What's his name? Orochimaru doesn't seem like a good protector, a bodyguard or anything like that.
Also, Orochimaru has a lot of kinjutsu, which is very designed for combat oriented. Like he can bring down all the Hokages.
What'd you say?
Hokages.
Bringing back the Hokages. Kinjutsu is what do you call it? Forbidden techniques.
Yeah.
Right. So, and then the last thing we were just going to bring up from last week's last couple of issues is that we all know that the 8 Tails has 8 tails, and he said that he had 8 swords. But one thing I didn't realize is that what was the thing? His 8th sword is really
like he had only 7 swords if you count their sword.
And so, what is his 8th sword?
With his arm.
Okay, and how did you figure that out?
Because in Japanese kanji, when he became Hachibi mode, I mean like before he transformed, where like he has all these tails coming out, which is made out of chakra, he like bring out his right arm and said, Lariato. Lariato's kanji was saying lightning blade. And then like that's why I thought that 8th blade was actually his arm. Which actually doesn't make any sense. Is if you actually look at previous chapter, one of Yotsugi family who was caught by Suigetsu, who was interrogated by Suigetsu, said that like Hachibi has 8 sword. But obviously, I don't think he's talking about his arm. Well, maybe that's just a contradiction.
Maybe that's just legendary. Like
what do you mean by legendary? Like, he's living in the same village.
That's he's considered the 8th. He had the 8th sworded swordsman,
but he obviously he's not using a metaphor though, because actually Sasuke is using his Mangenkyo to force him to speak about his descriptions, right? So if he speaks about legend, that would be weird.
I don't know. I'm looking at that issue right now. I have the English. Oh, you're right. He says he carries 8 swords. It's on page 5 of issue. What issue is this?
Yeah, it said like if my memory serves me correctly, it said he has 8 swords.
Yeah.
And have kanji irons on his shoulder.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean,
when people describe about others, they're not gonna say his metaphorical sword, which is his arm.
Well, maybe it's I can give that away. It's poetic license. That's not a big deal for me. But I mean, I think even if someone's hypnotized, sometimes when people are hypnotized, they say something that in metaphors because that's the way they think of it in their head. They just muishiki.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we can convince ourselves like that, but most of the people actually thought that that's a weird.
Okay.
I mean, like it's a cool idea that 8th blade is actually his arm, but it's obviously some Kishimoto thought it's cool and then like added up on later on, or it just mistakes.
That's another thing you should mention. Who are the Yotsugi? Because I didn't even notice that. But
Yotsugi is like Kiri. I think it's like a Uchiha family in the
It's like a noble clan of
Kirigakure.
the cloud